All right, welcome everyone. It's Kian here from Postural Orthodontics and one of our team members, John. Welcome, welcome. Looking forward to having everyone join us this weekend. We want to show a new feature that will help those of you who are maybe not based in the US. There's a captioning or subtitling function within Zoom where you can select different languages. So it simultaneously translates the speaker, be Dr. Wong or Dr. Kevin Boyd, when they're speaking, to actually show what they're saying, either in English if you want, English, and or could be whatever your preferred language, Spanish or whatever, right? So I'm gonna click on this thing, which will now show the captions. Hello, hello. Can you see the captions,
Not
John,
yet.
as an audience member?
I still have to turn it on to show them.
Okay, so can you show them how to turn it on?
All right. So everyone, when you get into your Zoom, you should see this button down here. It says Show Captions. However, if you can't see it, it might be because your Zoom window is too small. So just drag it from the side, and then it'll show you Show Captions. So once you're here, click Show Captions, and it should say Live Transcript on. See over there. You can see this is probably Spanish right now. So what you want to do is you want to click this small little arrow over here. Then make sure your translation is on, this toggle here. And then never mind this part. This is whatever language you're most comfortable speaking. But this is the important part. This is the language you want everything to be captioned in. So let's say you're from Russia, you want to understand things in Russian. Click Russian. But by default, it could be anything. So yeah, pick from this list. For example, we picked Spanish. All right, Kian, could you say something? And it's gonna.
Right, how's the Spanish translation, John? You probably won't understand Spanish yourself, but so you can basically pick whatever language you want to show. All right, so it's fun to play with. It's 90 odd percent accurate. There'll be some dental terminology that won't translate probably well, but at least it definitely will help with comprehension. So the other thing we're going to talk about is when we have Q&A section, and there will be lots of opportunity to type in your questions or raise your hand where you may want to turn on your microphone. John, do you want to show people how to raise their hand if they want to speak? Or most people just
Sure.
prefer to type their questions in. Let's show them that first. So
Okay.
there is a chat area and then there's a Q&A box. All right. So John, you want to show them where they are? Just point with your arrow.
Yep.
The chat is obviously when we say hello, welcome everyone. And if you want to make a comment or if we want to do a continuing education to get your CE credits, we're going to ask you all to type in hello at during the registration time, which will be 4:30 p.m. New York Eastern to 5. So if you can log in, between four, ideally around 4:30 to 4:45 latest, and come in, and we're going to do a roll call, right? We're just going to, all right, is so and so here, and just type your name. We'll see your name, but if you just type I'm here, hi, welcome, and then you can run off, get some coffee or whatever, and then we'll mark you down, right? That's where you can use the chat bot, the chat comment section, right? Or you can kind of comment between audience members throughout the day. But if you have questions, then don't type your questions in the chat because that can get lost pretty quickly if there's a lot of comments happening in real time. Instead, type your questions in the Q&A box. John, do you want to show them where that is?
Yep. There's a button over here that looks like a message bubble with a question mark. This will open up this Q&A window. Then you can type in your
That's where
question
you
here.
type in
For example,
and
test
submit it
question.
there.
You can also uh, check this box if you want to send anonymously and send.
You can do that. Obviously, we prefer to get
Yeah,
some
it's
engagement.
it's better
Now,
not to.
if a question, if you have a question come up during the lecture, you might as well you could write it down and then input it during the Q&A segments throughout the day. Um, and it's okay to type your question while the lectures are going, and we will, make a note of them and copy them into a Google Doc, and then Dr. Wong or Dr. Kevin will read them out and answer them during the Q&A time. Other housekeeping matters, yeah. So for CE in particular, at beginning of the day, there's that registration window from 4:30 to 5 p.m. New York time, and before we start at 5 p.m. sharp New York time. But there's going to be a 45-minute, midway, halfway through the first day, there's going to be a 45-minute break. We won't call it lunch break because it depends on where you are, but there'll be a 45-minute break. And just, before we start, just around that time when we get back into it, we're going to do a roll call again, right? So you need to be here. We're not going to ask you to turn on your videos. Respect your privacy. You may want to be doing this, late at night. You might be, in the middle of the morning. So we're not going to require you to turn on the videos. But instead, we do need you to be present at the beginning before we start and right, before we start the second half of the day's proceedings. So once again, we're going to ask you to type hello, I'm here. And then our team, John, our team will mark you down as being there. So that is one way we can keep track to make sure, ultimately you are here for CE credit purposes. And then at the end of the second day, we will give you a special course code, right? So you need to stay on until the very end to get this course code to then, use that to verify. Once you complete the CE test, you need to email us to say, hey, I've done the test. This is the course code, and so on and so forth. Now, regarding the CE test, inside your learning platform, we have a separate instruction link to show you how to go about completing the CE test. If you want the CE verification certificate, the PDF, through the PACE program with the AGD, Academy of General Dentistry, logo on it. Then after the 2-day event, you can do it straight after, you can do it the next, day, etc. There's a CE test, right? It's multiple choice, very simple, but it's about 30 to 40 questions. And you need to log into the learning management platform where we have we'll upload it, over the weekend during the event, and once again we'll have instructions to show you how to do that. So you can do the test. You don't have to do it during the 2 days. Obviously, you can just do it, at your leisure. Now we are because some people are not going to be able to make it over the weekend, and or they can only watch a few hours and then head out. The recordings will be available within a week or so from the live stream. There might be some editing needed and so on and so forth. So we will notify everyone when it's available, and so you can complete the recordings. And the system tracks your progress. So if you want the CE, you need to actually show us that you've completed everything. How do you do that? There's, each lecture will be a separate video module, and when you finish watching that 10-minute, 20-minute segment, on the right-hand corner there'll be a, complete and continue green button. So you click on that, and then the system tracks that you finished that module, and you move to the next one, and so on and so forth. And then once you complete everything, you can do the CE test, and that's a separate module. When you log into the platform, once again we'll have some instructions to show you. You click on it and answer the multiple choice questions, and once that is completed, there's a separate set of questions for each day. You can basically complete the CE test in a timely manner, and then there'll be a course code, and you email us and say, hey, I've completed it, please double check, and here's the course code. And then we'll submit your completed info to the CE consultant, and then we'll issue you your certificate. Now we're basically gonna give until the end of July, right? So the course was, June 6th and 7th, so you've got the whole month of June and whole month of July. Now you can submit it earlier, but we're not going to issue the certificates until the end of July, unless there's an emergency you really need it before a certain deadline. But we will hopefully most people will have finished their CE test before, sometime in June or July, and we can collect everything and get it all issued to everyone, end of July. If you need an extension, by all means, you've got access to the recordings until the end of September, right, without any additional fees. So once again, you can theoretically finish the recordings and finish the CE test, in August. But there will be a cutoff deadline, probably mid-September if you want the CE, right? But the first deadline will be end of July, and then whoever's completed the CE test in June or July, we will issue the certificate end of July. All right, so hopefully that's clear. Otherwise, we'll reiterate this during the event. But this is recorded, and we'll be sending this off to you guys so you can take a look at it before the event starts. Alrighty, that's about it. Anything else, John? I think that's good.
I think that's it.
We're going to record everything as mentioned, so we'll look forward to seeing you on Friday, New York time, 4:30 p.m. for the registration. See you soon. Thanks.